Hello, welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Become a diehard. Go PHNX.com. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Bo Brack. I hope you like good stuff coming your way because the Cardinals are ready to rock and roll just 1 week away from the start, Mr. Bo Brack of free agency.
That's right. I like good stuff. You like good stuff. We all like good stuff. How about Ken Weber jumping in? Is it a Tune It Up Tuesday? Is that what's going to take over? Is it a Clayton Tune It Up Tuesday? Also, Jason saying, how long before Bo mentioned Sydney Sweeney? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? I have worked Sydney Sweeney into the show few too many times.
You're a fan.
Yeah.
I don't know too many people who aren't a fan. But
you ever seen Madam Web? No, neither have I. You got Nico. What's going on? Han shot first. We're glad you made it, bud. Daniel Barry, what's going on? Chase, Chris, Spartan, 7, Deuce, the whole crew's here. Monty Austinfort's burner. Love that. Speaking of Monty Austinfort, might be prepared for a nice first 7-round mock draft of draft season. Can't wait to get into
Monty.
that.
Monty's leaving. Oh, there he goes. Everybody like this video. We need to get this video to 400 likes today. Not need. I want it. I want it and I need it.
I don't want to be dramatic. We had an all-staff meeting today, and our GM looked at me and he said, if you don't get to at least 200 likes, you're fired. So our jobs are on the line, people. So
True
just
story.
Yeah, don't he didn't say
Damon's first though. If it's 200, not 200 likes, Damon goes first. And there's a hierarchy of being fired.
Wait, who gets fired last?
You know who does. I'll be the last man standing on this show through hell or high water. No, in all seriousness, great day to talk some Cardinal ball. A lot going on. We got some insight we want to share. Of course, free agency on the cusp. I mean, the trade, or excuse me, the tag deadline has come and gone. And if you would have told me a month ago that where we'd be now and who's left standing would be available potentially, I would say, okay, giddy up. Hell of a start. You know, the major players, some of them have come and gone. Pour one out on LaCroix. Justin Matabuke, not going to be a Cardinal, right? T. Higgins, not going to be a Cardinal. I'm licking my chops, Bo Brack, with what's remaining here. A lot of meat on this free agency bone.
Yeah, it certainly is. We've got our slick little graphic here, our tag tracker. Let's take a look. As they were coming fast and furious today. Like the NFL was slow playing it. I'm sure organizations were doing their best to maybe negotiate a last second extension with these teams because some players they take it as a sign of disrespect.
Yeah.
But now it's sometimes utilized as a placeholder to get, from now until July when they have to officially sign off on the franchise tag tender. This is just a placeholder. So let's take a look at the tag tracker. Now, some of these guys, too, could have been just tagged, and teams will negotiate potentially a trade. Baker Mayfield, the quarterback for the Bucs, he said that he's not giving the Bucs a hometown discount. So, I'm sure they're going to prioritize that. As Tampa Bay had a surprise tag today, they're going to tag their safety, Antoine Winfield Jr., no running backs were tagged. Barkley, Jacobs, they hit the free agent mark, and I think that was expected. Jacksonville, we were kind of curious with an idea that they were going to eventually tag Josh Allen, and exactly what they did. So Calvin Ridley probably becomes the top wide receiver on the market. They had the Mike Evans deal go down yesterday, 2 for $52. Insane, but it's probably the right move for the Bucs. Michael Pittman got tagged at the very end or right before the buzzer. T. Higgins, we knew about that for the last couple of weeks. Tyron Smith not getting tagged. On Winu for the
That's
Patriots. He's gonna hit the free agent market, but it's gonna be interesting to see if the Arizona Cardinals how much they kick around him, the versatile offensive lineman. Brian Burns tagged. We said Josh Allen tagged, Jonathan Greenard not tagged, Christian Wilkins not tagged, Chris Jones not tagged, but probably going to command, be priced out of the Cardinals. Matabuke, as you said, tagged. L'Jarius Sneed tagged, but could be dealt. Jalen Johnson tagged, probably extension candidate. And then you got Kyle Duggar, who got throwing it back to the Kenyon Drake transition tag, but not available for the Arizona Cardinals. I don't think they're going to be in the safety business this offseason.
Hey, Kyle Duggar was going to have that most robust of a market. That's surprising to me. Patriots opting not with a rookie quarterback en route to tag their best offensive lineman. Let's tag a safety. Awesome. Joe Flacco. Let's see that offense one more time, Damon Dog, if we could. It just shows you the stark contrast of where some of these teams are living and not so much. If I'm having to negotiate with Baker Mayfield right now, I know he had a nice season. That's horrifying. Where I'm not going to take a hometown discount, and will they franchise tag him? That's just not a good place to be. Double down on Calvin Ridley. It's like I'm gonna be cruel here to start the show. Calvin Ridley and Hollywood Brown is like fast food compared to the fine dining that we're going to get with this NFL draft receiver class. I'm just being frank, not in terms of the person, but the amount of money that you're going to have to allocate potentially. I saw somebody say Hollywood Brown could command $12 million a year in free agency that by some other franchise. That's not going to be the Cardinals. And Calvin Ridley just came off maybe the quietest 1,000-yard receiving season in NFL history. So I think outside of the guard class, it is an elite free agent guard class. There are 10 guys that could come in and start for the Cardinals at left guard. We're going to talk about that. The rest of the offensive personnel, you can have them. I'm sorry, these receivers ain't it. You're going to get a ton of receivers atop the draft. The tackle class is robust, but the defensive side is where the meat and potatoes is. So let's go back to that. You can see Justin Matabuke gone. Chris Jones is going to get paid. Christian Wilkins is going to have the highest free agent, cap hit this offseason. He's going to make the most money. And then I think the one that bears watching, Jonathan Greenard of the Houston Texans, is going to hit the open market. Now, Houston's got a lot of money to spend. They're not paying C.J. Stroud anything. It's a couple things to keep in mind. They're in the mix for Christian Wilkins. So you would assume they're going to get maybe one or the other or neither. They're not going to get both, right? Mm-hmm. Also, they gave Dalton Schultz, who I like, a gross contract today. They gave him almost $40 million. Do what you want to do. You got Stroud. You can splurge a little bit. I wouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. Greenard is somebody I think the Cardinals will at least inquire about, is what I was told today. They're going to sniff around his market, 12.5 sacks. But, Bo, you and I talked off air. Hassan Reddick had, 12.5, 13 sacks, and it only commanded him a one-year contract from Carolina for about $8 million. Why was that? Because similar to Greenard, he didn't have the track record. Greenard had 2 career sacks as his career high before this year max, right? So he had a great contract year. Can he parlay that? I think he's exactly what the Cardinals would look for as an edge rusher for a couple different factors. He plays the run exceptionally well. Tremendous team character, captain kind of guy. Went to Louisville, Jonathan Gannon's alma mater. So JG, whether it was with the Vikings or the Colts or the Eagles, scouted Jonathan Greenard. He's familiar. And then the cherry on top is, as we saw him at the NFL Combine, Nick Caserio is still good buddies with Monty Ossenford.
He is. There's no love lost because of that deal. After we approached Nick Caserio, he had his backpack on like he was going to jump on the bus at the bus stop and go to elementary school. And we told him that his team was a nightmare to us all season long. He laughed it off. But, Greenard, it's interesting. I mean, especially when you think about just what this Houston team had been through. With 3 different coaching staffs in the last, 3 of his 4 seasons. Or was it even more than that? I mean, he came into the league in 2020. Was that Bill O'Brien back then? I mean, I got to imagine he's been through the ringer as far as them figuring out how to kind of utilize him. And now he wasn't like a premium pick. I mean, he was a guy that, they took in the 3rd round. But, he's somebody where he's playing linebacker. He's playing right defensive end. He's playing the defensive line. And then they put him, as far as Matt Burke, the former defensive line coach for the Arizona Cardinals, put him in a position for success. And he utilized his size very similar to the size that Zaven Collins has, maybe an inch shorter, but 6'3", 263. He's somebody that had an absolutely monster season. It was one of the most consistent performances performers on a big time defense that had just needed to get the ball into the hands of CJ Stroud in his first season. And I think Greenard absolutely just kind of fits the criteria that the Arizona Cardinals are looking for, to get into a guy in the prime years and maybe overpay a little bit, but at a premium position, and his impact, you'll see it day one. And the Arizona Cardinals, they need to be on these types of free agents. They need to be in negotiations with them, and they need to come away with them. And that's the biggest part here. Maybe like when you've got a guy like Wilkins who's going to have half the league after him, maybe you can sneak in to a Greenard while other teams are just going, shot for shot, trying to get the right number for Christian Wilkins. Not to say they shouldn't be on Christian Wilkins, but this defense is in such dire need of rebuilding talent that I think you add a guy like Greenard, and you already look at this front seven differently than you did at the end of last season.
Somebody asked on Twitter, respectfully, like, why would you go after Greenard when Christian Wilkins should be your top target? And I agree, on the surface, they need more from their defensive line. Like, it's in worse shape. But I tried to grab the number on Twitter. I was off by like a week or two. But think about this, and we've talked about this ad nauseum on this show. So from week 12 to the end of the season, which is like a quarter of the season, almost half the season, the Cardinals had one sack. One sack.
No.
It came against Justin Fields when Dennis Gardeck basically pushed him out of bounds at the line of scrimmage. It was a zero-loss sack.
No. Mm-hmm.
One sack from your defense. This includes safety blitzes and edge rushers and D tackles and middle linebackers coming up the middle. One effing sack from week 12 to week 17. Think about that. Or week 18 or whatever it is. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So beggars can't be choosers. Talent is talent. And I also think you bring in Greenard. Suddenly you've got Ojulari coming back for his second year, pop year. Zaven Collins still hanging around. Dennis Gardeck potentially is supplemental depth. You don't have to force then an edge rusher pick with 27 and 35.
Right.
If you love a guy, if Chop Robinson's there or Dallas Turner somehow falls, you take him. But you also can say, we can go defensive line, we can go offensive line, we can go receiver, and we're set. It doesn't force the issue. This is not a great edge rusher class. It's fine. It's solid. Go look at Chop Robinson's production at Penn State. It's not there. We're projecting what he's going to do. Really, only Latu has the elite projective statistics, right? And he helped himself at the combine. You want to take him, fine. Greenard gives you ample time now. You get him on a 3 or 4 year deal. He's 27. So you're going to get potentially 3 to 4 years before he turns 30 of hopefully 8 to 12 sacks a year. You take that. You absolutely take that. So I think if it's not Greenard, they at least need to bring in somebody, because we probably downplay how bad this pass rush is.
Yeah, I think the free agent edge class is more impressive than say the draft class. Like,
yes.
I think these prospects all have their respective red flags, from Latu being medically retired before he went to UCLA, and Dallas Turner. Sure, like you see the production there, but do you have your reservations as far as his size? Is he too small? Is he going to be able to shed blocks? Who are some of the other guys in this edge class outside of Turner and Latu? There's
Chop Robinson. Again, it's fine. It's a fine class. It's probably comparable to last year's class. It is not worth passing on one of these tackles or receivers, or even I like some of these later round defensive tackles more than the edge rushers.
And there are some guys actually off the edge that I like later in the draft that you're going to look at some of their numbers at the combine where you're just like, he didn't test very well, like a Gabriel Murphy or a Jonah Ellis out of Utah. Like, Murphy was kind of second fiddle to Latu in UCLA. Yeah. He had 16 TFLs this season. He said he's talked to the Arizona Cardinals. He's a big guy. He didn't have an impressive 40, but he's a guy that is just I'm looking at the analytics here. He's a guy that's a grown man, can play some ball. If you add him in the 4th, 5th round, I think that couple that with a free agent addition off the edge, plus some beef in the middle of your defense, free agent wise in the draft. I mean, you got something that you can say, okay, it's not a liability any longer. It's being rebuilt, and especially with what Nick Rollis and Jonathan Gannon can do as far as their defensive calls, can put you in a position to get the stops necessary to get Kyler Murray and that offense back on the field.
Nico Hoffman saying Chris Braswell, Dallas Turner's running mate at Alabama. I agree. Like, you probably get him at the end of the second, early third round. The Cardinals did talk to him. I spoke with him at the NFL Combine. Like, that's a target. But, I mean, B.J. Ojulari, it took a while for him to get going last year. He was, coming off an injury, and he was out of shape. Not to his fault. He was coming back from injury. He wasn't in play shape for a while.
Yeah.
I feel like, it probably is asking a lot. I don't think this edge rusher class, you can say, come in and start for us day one outside of maybe a Dallas Turner. And you're not getting Dallas Turner at 27.
Right.
So with that in mind, it's like, where's your instant production coming from? It's coming from guys who have done it already in the league, that have a resume. Somebody asked, here's a super chat, very kind, from Kyle Haley, $10. What about Bryce Huff from the Jets? Well, he had 10 sacks last year. Count me in. If they're interested, only 25 years old, if they feel like the defensive scheme translates, he can be productive. This is the kind of sandbox they're going to play in. Absolutely. Like, I want so badly to be able to come on this show this time next week and talk about Christian Wilkins, new member of the Arizona Cardinals. And it could very well happen. But that's also not to say if it doesn't happen, there's not avenues to pivot and help yourself. Because I feel like sometimes there's a misconception of, well, if you don't get the top dog or one of the big three in free agency, you're not getting better. This, to your point, this free agent edge class, you can help yourself. You can help yourself exponentially.
Yeah. Shout out Glenn, saying new here, became a fan after the Gannon interview.
Oh yeah, Glenn.
Thumbs up, Bird Gang. And everybody's stealing a little bit from you. I think somebody said, welcome to the Premier Cardinals podcast, something that JV says all the time. But it's the free agency, like, where you look at the strengths of it, like, I think you can find depth pieces across the defensive line and maybe starting caliber edge. Where would B.J. Ojulari, where would he fit in this draft class? Probably be near the top of it. If he came out this year. Like, I heard Amarius Mims, Justin sent me this TikTok, and it was Amarius Mims saying, who's the toughest guy that you had to block during your time in the SEC playing for Georgia? And he mentioned B.J. Ojulari. So, when you talk about players expected to make a huge jump from year one to year two under Gannon and Rollis, I think Ojulari's there, but you need help. And then also, like, we can't get away from, and I think I saw somebody, Greenard and Leonard Williams, like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good plan to me. Like, that's a good plan B to if you lose out on the Christian Wilkins sweepstakes. Somebody, Johnny, you identified as a free agent target. Like, they have to add beef. Like, they have to get somebody on that defense. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It absolutely has to become, if not be, the top priority outside of maybe figuring out what the plan is at the tackle position.
You can't compete in your own division if you don't.
Right.
I mean, you're conceding. And it's not fair to Kazir White and Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker and what I think is, it could be a pretty interesting, good back seven. Those guys can't do their thing, have career years, pick off passes if you don't have production up front. And Gannon knows that. Like, Austin Ford knows that. Last year was the mulligan year where, I mean, we said it so many times. I'm on the record. I think it was the worst collection of defensive tackles the league has seen in like half a decade. It was one of the worst, if not the worst, position unit in the NFL, like, save for like the Jets QB room. It was in that category though. And like, I'm not talking about like guys who busted and were ripping them. The Cardinals were literally picking up street free agents and practice squad players, and they would be starting and playing 50, 60% of the snaps the following Sunday because it was such a dire situation. They signed a bunch of guys in free agency to one-year flyers like the LJ Colliers of the world, and they immediately went down. They got hurt because really, they're a bunch of lottery tickets at this point. You need some sure things. And even if you have to overpay, like, you sign Jonathan Greenard and he gets you 9 sacks next year. You take that. I'm sorry. Like, I want him to have 12.5. You sign Christian Wilkins and he does 85% of what he did in Miami in a career year. It's better than what you got. It's going to help you get to the postseason. It's going to help you beat once upon a time, Pete Carroll, Kyle Shanahan, and Sean McVay. Like, they got to start winning games this year. And I, as much as I love the culture they've created, you can't do it without players. You have, especially line of scrimmage players. Like, how many times has this franchise really blown some premier opportunities because their offensive line wasn't good enough? You just can't manufacture a poor offensive line into a productive one. And now it's flipped. I think the offensive line is one of the strengths of the team. There's a lot of young talent there, and they're going to add to it.
Yeah.
The defensive line is in dire need of talent infusion from both free agency and the draft.
Yeah. And I think that the organization probably views the offensive line. It will always keep it top priority. Like
For sure.
They're
Absolutely.
always going to try to add that. And you mentioned the guard position, and we'll get into it a little bit later. Pick and Spread saying BJ Ojulari would probably be his edge 4 if he was in this draft class. I'd like to hear that. Jessica saying, I just don't want to see Monty rely solely on the draft like he did last year. Spend the money this time. And I think he's more equipped. I mean, it was, as the organization likes to say, whirlwind as they came in their first offseason and they were cleaning up the absolute shit show that was left behind from the previous regime. And they had not only their scouts in place for the college prospects, but also around the league and scouts looking at players that they could potentially target in free agency. This one's funny to me. Jalen Blair saying, per Matthew Berry, said he was told at the combine, Johnny, if MHG were there at 4 when the Cardinals pick, they're absolutely taking him. Also, don't be surprised if the Cards bring back Hollywood on a 1 year. That sounds familiar. I wonder who would have had that conversation with him at the combine. We did an interview with Matthew Berry, didn't we?
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that Matthew Berry got that from us off camera. But Matthew Berry got that from Bo and I off camera, talking to him for about 20 minutes at the NFL Combine. And I'm flattered that we were included. Those are quotes that we said verbatim to Matthew Berry. You think Matthew Berry's walking around talking shop Arizona Cardinal football with people? I would love that. It's not getting the Justin Fields, Caleb Williams kind of headlines. So, if you listen to this,
what was it? It was 20th on his little combine chatter, things that he was hearing around Indianapolis in his article today. But that looked very familiar. It was in line with some of the off-camera conversation that we had with him, and it might even be some of it might be in the interview. I can't remember.
I guess who else was in attendance that would have given Matthew Berry that? And then you just work your way down your list.
Is this us, our Florio moment? Did you see the clown Florio's tweet? It's like, hey, I did over 30 interviews, 50 interviews. I have legit sources. It was the worst, most embarrassing flex I've ever seen in my entire life.
I mean, listen, he's got to be, getting antsy here if old Kirk Cousins doesn't bail on the Vikings. I mean, it's going to look even dumber than normal. Jason, $5 super chat. I'd be okay with putting production behind the type of character discipline a player has for free agent signings. Teach and mentor the young Thundercats. I think they're always, Jason, going to be, thank you for the super chat, by the way, my friend. I think they're always going to be an organization that puts youth first. Like, I asked Gannon at his presser availability, like, you guys played almost more rookies than anybody. Is that something you want to do moving forward? Was that more so a state of the roster? And like, he initially made a response like, the roster is going to dictate that. But also, they always want to be a franchise that embraces like young players. And if young players come in and win a job, that's great. Then they're going to take the job. That was never the case with the prior regimes. I love Bruce Arians. Even Bruce Arians would sometimes, to a fault, stick with an older player. Gannon and Austin Ford, Nick Ross, Drew Petzing, they're just like, hey, man, if you can help us win, you're going to have a role. You talk about it all the time, Bo. Like, if you're active on Sunday, hook or by crook, like, you have a job to do.
Yeah, there's value in reps because they understand that when they get a player that they like his makeup, right? They like his athleticism, his physicality, the violence that he plays with, and his willingness to do things, whatever he's asked of, they're going to put him in a position they're confident that they can teach a system to them, and that they're going to, once they put the defensive, offensive calls in, that they can put them in a position for success, and that the reps are as valuable as they come. And that, especially in a season like last year, and it will be interesting to see how they do it moving forward when the expectations for the organization go up. Like, are they going to be willing to have guys? And I think Gannon is huge on guys learning and learning from their mistakes, making mistakes on the field, because that's the best way to get better. And and I understand in this day and age in the NFL, and it's been like this for a long time, that you don't have the luxury of failing a lot. You have to be able to turn it around. But I think that this coaching staff is confident in its ability to, one, teach it resonate, and the player to be able to move forward without making the same mistakes multiple times. and the previous regime did not. They didn't feel like they could. They didn't have the ability to do that, and they knew that if they didn't get somebody that could get in, at least kind of be out there with some sort of, I guess, experience, that they were going to be in trouble. But that they bit them in the ass far too many times.
Absolutely. Deuce, $2 super chat. Florio is just jealous of Johnny's podium access.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Gannon and I and Bo Brack, we had a good conversation Friday that Florio would never get with the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. I have some insight.
Like the urinal. Is that what we were talking about?
No, I'm not. I've got some insight pertaining to the Cardinals situation at left guard that I want to share. But before that, I want to share with you how you get 150 in bonus bets instantly. It's with our friends from BetMGM, Bet5, and PHNX is the bonus code. You want to use if you're a new customer. All you got to do, download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on your iOS or Android device, or visit. I love going to betmgm.com because I can see everything on a big monitor. My eyes are shot, and I'm like, okay, I get $5. I deposit that on a standard odds price matchup. I get 150 in bonus bets. Then I'm just playing around. Then I'm doing what I want to do. And of course, you do it with our friends at BetMGM. We've got draft prospects and props coming up on the BetMGM in a matter of weeks. You will be able to bet on all things the NFL draft. Hell, there may be some sample bets that you can do right now. I love draft props. Shane Diefenbach, Damon Dog, I'm sure going to be talking about that ad nauseum in the coming weeks on PHNX Bets Daily Podcast. But in the meantime, sign up for BetMGM. Use that bonus code PHNX. Place your first bet. BetMGM Sportsbook through the BetMGM Sportsbook app for at least $5. You're going to get 150 in additional winnings, regardless of the outcome of your wager. So if you bet on, I don't know, Caleb Williams to go second overall, or, Jaden Daniels to go fourth, and it doesn't hit, you're still going to get your 150 regardless of the outcome. But you want to do it with BetMGM. You want to check out the show notes for full details. And now you want to listen to Damon Dog talk about it in the disclaimer.
Problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms. This promotional offer is not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Tomorrow, we hit the 50-day mark before the NFL draft. That's exciting. 50 days away.
Okay.
That means we're 50 days away from our PHNX Cardinals Die Hard draft party at Gila River Resorts and Casino. That's right, April 25th. Come join us out there. Johnny, myself, Damon Dog, a ton of the PHNX crew. We're hanging out for a first-round draft party live at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass. Now, unfortunately, you got to be 21 years or older to attend the event. I wish we could let everybody in, but over at Gila River, you got to be 21 and over. Once you get tickets to this event, it includes food and beverage packages and more. So you don't want to miss out on this. You want to get in it right now. Go to our website, gophnx.com, go to our event page and find out more, all the details on our draft party. Easiest way to get all the insight is become a diehard Johnny and get all of the early access to the incredible events that we're throwing here at PHNX and gophnx.com. We're going to be invading, of course, the Speedway, Phoenix Raceway on Sunday. We got the Tea Party coming up. We got a Coyotes watch party coming up. You're not going to want to miss out on any of this. And the best way to get access to that is become a diehard today at gophnx.com. You get free swag like a t-shirt or a hat, whatever you choose. And that pretty much it pays the price for admission right there. So check it out. gophnx.com.
I do believe, and apologies if you mentioned this already, that the draft right now, if you get tickets, you get a percentage off. Like these are the cheapest they're ever going to be. They're only going to go up. So grab them now. Helps us get a head count. Helps us know, frankly, who we're going to be partying with from 4 p.m. until the wee hours in the morning. And I'll be cranking out a day 2 mock draft shortly after. It's the best night of the year outside of the regular season kickoff. So you don't want to miss that with our friends at Gila River. You don't want to miss this. So what's going down right now is the Cardinals are poised to pursue a starting left guard in free agency. We've had that source for some time. It's going to be somebody with significant starting experience in the NFL. They are concerned about the state of the left side of their offensive line. That's why you've heard them rumored for guys like Joe Alt. But regardless, we're under the impression right now that they're going to be starting a rookie left tackle. So you want to go ahead and get a guy with experience that can help, a la Will Hernandez with Paris Johnson Jr. They re-signed Will Hernandez last year, having really no allegiance to him because they thought he'd be a good fit. next to Paris Johnson Jr. And in fact, he was. That's a tandem. You call them your favorite wrestling tag team there on the right-hand side. They were damn near dominant at times. They want to try to emulate that on the left side. So a lot of people are connecting the dots with Jonah Jackson, the left guard for the Detroit Lions. He was there. He was drafted, helped develop by Dave Sears, who was their, I think, director of college scouting, now is the assistant GM to Austin Ford. He's been a starter since he was drafted in the 3rd round out of Ohio State in 2020. Here's what I can tell you. Cardinals are interested. There is concern about his durability. He has missed ample time each of the last 2 years. He was not healthy at the end of this year. He got knocked out of the Tampa Bay game, missed the Niner game, and the Lions, it sounds like, are going to move off of him. So they are going to have to weigh whether or not they're going to get his best version, because this second contract he's going to cash in, but you want a player that's at the peak of their powers. You want somebody that's ready to crack some skulls, so to speak. And I think, I'm not saying they're not going to sign him. I got a text earlier today. It was basically like, there's a little bit of concern about durability. Physical would have to go really well. I mean, I think he's missed in conjunction the last 2 years at least double-digit games combined, Bo. So that's not, I mean, you can say what you want about Froholt and Paris Johnson Jr. and Will Hernandez and DJ Humphries before he went out. They were healthy all year. They were ready to go, and that made that unit better. So you can't invest big money on a guy who's not available.
Right. And look, this guy, and I think that there's confidence in the training staff that once they get their hands on him, maybe they can uptick that closer to a full season. But you're right. I mean, that's been a big thing that Jonathan Gannon, when he came off his Super Bowl run with the Eagles, they were one of the healthiest teams in the league. And he understands the value in that. And there's more to it than, hey, players just get hurt. It's the NFL. It's tough. They love the consistency, the continuity of guys being there week in and week out. And when somebody has an injury history, they're going to try to vet it as best as possible. If they just don't feel like it's somebody that's going to hold up, it's probably not somebody that they're going to take the risk. Now, Steve Keim was different. Remember, like when he signed Andre Smith and Justin Pugh, guys that had huge injury red flags. That's why they were available. That's why their previous franchises were like, well, you go chase free agency because we're not confident that you can stay healthy. And what happened? That season, they got injured. And, they got injured quite a few times after that if they stay in the league. So Jonah Jackson, from, his playing ability to when he's on the field and what he can do.
Great player when he's healthy.
Great player when he's healthy. But it's something that's going to be important for them to vet. But as he said, Jackson just seems to be kind of what they're looking for. There's Dave Sears who monitored Jackson from drafting him into the Lions organization in the 3rd round in 2020 to now him coming the assistant general manager. Like that's just an easy connecting in the dot. But there are other talented guards out there like Ezra Cleveland and Robert Hunt, some of the you identified, who are probably going to command more than Jonah. So really going to be interesting to see how, as you said, I think that they will want to find the Will Hernandez. And Will Hernandez, you have to remember, didn't break the bank. Like they relied on scouting and what the player is capable of, what he can project to do is available. Once they get their offensive line coach's hands on him, they expect his play to go up.
And I kind of contradict something. I think they want an experienced player like a Will Hernandez. I think they're going to sign a better player than what Will Hernandez was perceived last offseason, if that makes sense. Like they know this guard market is robust. They have money to spend. Now, it could be dictated on you get Christian Wilkins, and then you maybe have to pivot because you can't allocate as much money. I don't think necessarily that's what's going to happen, but might factor into it. So maybe you can splurge a little bit more if you get a lesser defensive tackle. But I
know left tackle is the most important position on the offensive line, and to discount that is a little naive, right? But to have 4/5 of your offensive line taken care of with all the draft capital and a banner draft as far as tackles go, Arizona Cardinals would be sitting in a great spot.
They want to be able to check that box, and we've got a super chat here from our friend Joel, $4.99. Thank you so much, Joel. Any interest in somebody like Tyron Smith as a placeholder for left tackle? I can't say that there's interest right now. If they were to sign him or any starting left tackle, I think we all could come on this show and start celebrating because it would.
Will we have an emergency pod?
Oh, absolutely.
But it wouldn't be for the tackle signing. It would be.
Yeah.
Guess what they're doing at 4, folks?
Yeah.
Guess what?
They would show their cards. And listen, that's not out of the realm of possibility. Talking with somebody in the month of February, all I wanted to do was talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. And all they came back at me was, Johnny, they have not concern's not the right word. They are going to prioritize their offensive line. Marvin is still there. He's still very much in play. He probably will be the pick, but they hammered home the point. O-line, O-line, O-line. That's what they're focused on. They said that the plan is to keep Paris at right tackle. They want to keep Froholt, Hernandez, and Paris solidified over there. The DJ Humphries injury really kind of skewed their plan. That now they're having to pivot off of that. Kelvin Beachum, where does he come into play? But I think by the time next week ends, they will have a new starting left guard on a multi-year deal. Because you also have to remember, Froholt and Will Hernandez are free agents after this year. Now you can re-sign one or both, but they're not under contract.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go into 2025 with Paris and maybe a tackle, and that's it. And some guys that maybe have never started. Whomever they sign at left guard could be the era. Like Will Hernandez could be gone. I think Froholt, has a better chance to stick because of his relationship with Kyler Murray, and he's a younger player. This left guard is going to be, I keep saying this, of note. They keep telling, like, they're not going to go cheap at this position because they know the interior pressure that Kyler Murray is susceptible to. They want to combat that with Aaron Donald and Armstead in San Francisco. They want to be able to put a wall up because, like, as dominant as Nick Bosa and company can be, like, Kyler can elude edge pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He can get away with that. He can't operate if there are people in his face. And the Cardinals were so good at that last year. I commend Petsy and company. The interior of the offensive line was dominant at times. At no point was that ever the case with Cliff Kingsbury.
Never. And he'd be like, how are defenses just blowing us up? It's like, well, they get interior pressure and your spread offense is cooked.
Yeah.
Figure it out. And yeah, they didn't have that Achilles heel like the Kingsbury offenses often did.
Yeah.
If you and you, like you said, the blueprint is what they did on the right side of the line last year. Do that on the left side. It was Baldy even pointed out. It's like, I don't think DJ Humphries is having that tough a year as many people believe because the left guard play was so atrocious early on. Yeah. And I know Wilkinson came back and played a little bit better, but early on, he was brutal. And it really did cost DJ Humphries early in the left side. And I think that's why they leaned on the right side of the offensive line for the bulk of the season.
Even if you get Joe Alt, which means you're not getting Marvin. That's a cold, dark reality for this podcast host. But Joe Alt's going to have a tough time. He's not going to be perfect. Like, I think if
he's like Paris. I think he's exactly like Paris. I think
Paris had it. I don't even know if that's realistic for the first year. I hope so. I think Paris had the best rookie offensive line class for a Cardinal in like 20 years. And I know the bar is low. Yeah, if you could get that same production, that'd be awesome. But like, Paris benefited from Will and Yelda Froholt. They know that they're going to start a rookie at left tackle, whether it's Alt or Kingsley or Mims or J.C. Latham. Somebody starting at left tackle is a rookie. And so you're gonna make that guy then play next to a mid left guard. You're going to have, who are some of the left guards they trotted out last year?
Elijah Wilkinson, Tristan Colon, Dennis Daly.
That's a recipe for Kyler Murray going on injury reserve.
Right.
Like that. That's how your season implodes.
You're right with that. You're absolutely right with that. To say that Joe Alt's not the caliber of prospect that Paris Johnson Jr. is, I think is wrong.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I
have a love affair.
I think at this point last year, Paris, they were still trying to decipher. They were talking about T-Rex arm Skoronski as the top tackle still at this point.
That was a tough reality for Titan fans. This little baby T-Rex arms. He looks, you know what? Also, the guard out of Washington that's now playing tackle, I think, is back in play. He looked good,
man. I don't know what the hell happened to kind of take him out of the conversation. People, like, somebody once said, like, could he play guard? It's like, yeah, but he's a tackle, and he's proved to be a tackle. He's got the size of a tackle. Sure, he might have bumped inside, but for the most part, he's a tackle. So I don't, shame on whoever did that.
We're going to do a 7-round mock draft. God help us. But I do want to talk a little bit more free agency before we do. I want to tell everybody about our favorite financial institution here in the Valley. It's Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of PHNX, the Venerable household, and get this, the Arizona Cardinals. If that's not the Trinity right there that's going to convince you to invest and commit your financial solutions and well-being, I don't know what more you need to hear, because for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union. And they got savings accounts, they got checking accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. ATMs aplenty. Like, I just want to go get my money quickly. If I got to pay a babysitter, if I want to go out on the town, I want a little cash, a little walking around money. I do it with Desert Financial, and I don't get charged ATM fees. They're going to take care of me like they're going to take care of you. And if you're an Arizona sports fan, no better place to be than to do your banking with Desert Financial. Get hooked up with the Red Sea Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. All you got to do, show your team spirit, open a free checking account online, and get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card at desertfinancial.com/CardinalsBo to get started.
That's right. One of my favorite things to do in Indianapolis when we were at some watering hole around Indy, Damon or I would bait Johnny and say, "Hey, don't you have that Cardinals Desert Financial credit card?
Don't you want to pay for everything with your
let's see it. Let's see. Okay, well, you just get handed to this waitress, please, and pay our tab." And you're like, "Yeah, I love the Cardinals. Here's my debit card."
Who bought the first round of drinks when we got to?
You did. That's what leaders do. That's what leaders do, and that's what Johnny Venerable did first night in Indianapolis. Is we're the only people in the the hot spot in Indy. They're a day early. One of the hot spots to get your flooring needs taken care of is our friends over at Empire Today, and they're also going to piggyback and join us for our 7-round mock draft and build our Empire Today. Empire Today, of course, it's the quick, convenient way to get your flooring needs taken care of with professional installation with price match guarantees. So that means if you can find a better price around town anywhere else, Empire Today is like, well, we'll match that. So why not just start there and finish there? Because that's usually where all roads point to, is Empire Today. They keep shopping for floors simple with curated product selection. They got the virtual floor designer. They make everything, it's streamlined. Empire Today does it for you. So take out all the questions that you have as far as your flooring needs, carpeting, flooring, and save yourself $350 off new floors when you go to empiretoday.com/PHNX. That's empiretoday.com/PHNX to save $350 on your flooring needs.
So much good stuff going on in the chat. Be sure to drop a like. We're getting to 400 likes today with your help. Picking spreads, friend of the program, $1.99 super chat. Do you for real believe Arizona is going to get Christian Wilkins? I can't tell you one way or the other. I can say that they're going to do their homework, and if there is a premier defensive lineman available in free agency, shame on them if they don't pursue that player. But they got a couple things working against them. Number one, he played in a state with no state tax, and the Cardinals have state tax here if you live in Arizona. The state of Texas, where the Houston Texans reside, supposedly interested, do not have that. D'Amico Ryans is a very, attractive coach to go play for in terms of what they had this year, and they've got money. A lot of teams have money. So here's how the Cardinals are going to get Christian Wilkins if they pay him the most money above and beyond. And then they can court him with a fancy free agent visit, make his family feel good, and do the private jet thing with Michael Bidwell. Go and do that. But even so, that's asking a lot of this franchise. So I'm hopeful that they'll be in the mix, and we'll have more as it goes on. But I can't say that they're the favorite.
No, I don't think that they're the favorite. Like I said, I think that he's a type of player that when he becomes available, half the league's going to be on him, if not more. And you've got some teams that have just monopoly money as far as cap space to spend, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be an oversaturated market, and somebody's going to pay and overpay. And I don't know if Monty Ossenfort is willing to do that, but I think he's got plan B, C, and D, and E, and F, and G, where he's going to be able to reconfigure this thing, especially on the defensive front, even without Christian Wilkins. As much as I think that he is one of those guys that is a slam dunk, like, okay, now we got a player, we got a dude up front.
I love Over the Cap's website, it just makes my computer run slow because my computer's old. Go look at overthecap.com. They do a great job. Go look at the Cardinals' financial commitments for the year 2025. And Humphreys is still on there, by the way. They are paying nobody. It's 2024 right now. They're barely paying anybody. 2025, it's literally Kyler Murray, Jalen Thompson, and the rookie class of last year. That's unheard of. They have money. you could go and make Christian Wilkins cap hit for 2025 like $40 million if you wanted to. You could do it. You could manipulate whatever you wanted to because the cap's going up next year. They have that to play around in their back. On top of having, they're going to have close to 70 million this year to play around with, and they're going to roll money over. Like, you have to field a roster. And as much as I want 10 to 15 rookies on this team, including undrafted free agents, we're the veterans. The veterans are going to be able to take this team from November through January and pick up the rookies. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to hit a rookie wall. So is Joe Alt. We saw it last year with guys like Michael Wilson. It happens. The difference is, though, the Cardinals are going to be playing what I think is for a postseason berth. They're going to be in that 8, 9, 10 range. Hopefully, if things break right with the fourth place schedule. Like what the Packers did last year, I think was a little bit of an anomaly. You need to go out and spend money on guys. I mean, Christian Wilkins has been in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Jonathan Greenard was on the NFL Darling Team of the Year, and the Houston Texans made it to the divisional round. Jonah Jackson was in the NFC Well, he got hurt, but his team played in the NFC.
Greenard had a better season than Will Anderson by a lot.
Oh yeah, no, media won't tell you. Media won't tell you that though, because he's rookie of the year.
Chase saying this is our show. Absolutely is. Chase also saying he got his tickets to the draft party.
Chase,
look at that picture.
Look at that. That's what you want right there.
Johnny and JG.
He took a screen capture of that.
The two best friends anyone could ever have.
That's right after Gannon just dunked on Bo Brack, saying that defensive tackles were a premium position. I watched Bo's soul leave his body.
Can we get that? Can we get that picture of Johnny for a drop a like graphic?
Absolutely.
We'll have that replace
That's
Buddha.
The best thing I've ever heard.
With the thumbs up, JG thumbs up.
Gannon, then if you look at his eyes, he's like, now I regret.
Everything.
Idiots. Yeah.
Everything.
You guys are the best. Drop a like. Emergency pods en route, multiple shows per day en route. This is your one-stop shop for free agency. It's also your one-stop shop for NFL draft. And now it's time to put on our thinking caps, our Monty caps, so to speak. It's time to draft with the boys. 7 rounds. We're going deep. We're going hard here at the PHNX mock draft, building our empire today, presented by our friends at Empire Today Carpet and Flooring. And just give us one hot minute here as we get our thinking caps on for what is going to be likely our most combative, aggressive mock draft. Excuse me, as I have, hang on, which side is, I always forget which side this goes on. Up. Elite podcasting here. All right, let's do it. Any thoughts, anything that, this isn't working at all. Come on, Damon. What's happening here? Any idea?
It's inside out, dude.
It is? No way.
Did you?
Monty would be ashamed.
What did you do? Put yours in the dishwasher? Melt it?
You're not a bald. He would say you're not a bald, brethren. I feel like it shrunk.
There it is.
There it is. There, nice and fits like a glove. Fits like Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, hey,
offense.
Hey, Monty, what's up?
All right. Any stipulations you want to put on this before we dive into the mock draft simulator?
Did Trevor Sikkema after we did? So we talked to Trevor. We talked to Trev before our interview. This was days before. This is our greeting of him at the NFL Combine. I said, "Hey, Trev, what's going on?" And Johnny just steps on. He's like, "Hey, Jaden Daniels is ranked way too low.
Daniels is too low." And he's like, "Everybody's been saying it. I got to update it. Everybody's been saying it."
So hopefully he did us a solid. He did us so many solids by doing about 25-minute interviews 3 times in the last month.
He's on the payroll for PHNX now. Poor guy. All right, let's get into it. It's the PFF mock draft simulator. Make sure Bo's face is covered or no?
Nope. Here I am.
You're good. We're just gonna roll the die. Should we check the big board first? Let's see if our guy Jaden Daniels has gone up a little bit.
Okay.
We got time here. All right. So Jaden Daniels, the view is thick, by the way. Very appropriate for this podcast. Let's see. Jaden Daniels previously was in the 20s. This isn't a good sign so far.
Oh boy.
Come on. Looks like it hasn't been updated. Well,
no.
This will be interesting. Oh, is that you not like that, Trev? My guy, 94, not good enough. All right. Let's do it. Let's do some mock drafting. Let's do 7 rounds. Bo swore me that if we did trade backs, large majority of the picks would need to go into 2025 for the sake of this mock draft. So I reluctantly agreed to that. But
I think you take draft needs down and positional value up.
We've tried this before. It doesn't
Yeah.
help. Randomness.
I mean, you go all the way. That's the one thing that's
Okay. Is that a little bit better?
there you go. And take the positional value just down a notch.
Boop. All right. Cardinals pick them fourth. Let's do it. Entering
I'm
the
giving
draft.
advice like I would like for fixing an engine. Like I have no clue what I'm talking about either. I'm just like, I would do this.
Hey, how do I jump my car? You put the clamps on the thing. That's me.
The battery.
Right. Do you have any? I couldn't tell you where that is. Do you have any interest in trading up to number 3?
No.
All right. We're going to start this draft. We're going to see what happens. So Roma Dunze somehow went 3rd overall. So I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that?
Yeah. Guess who's on the board?
Sweet baby Marv. Roma Dunze, because he worked out at the combine, somehow jumped over Marvin Harrison Jr., according to Gerard Mayo and company. So Marvin Harrison Jr., the play. Any interest in entertaining a mini trade down with our friends like the New York Jets?
No.
Okay.
Do
Keep
you?
this party moving. No, I don't have any interest.
7 rounds here. We got 13 picks.
I have interest in celebrating at Gila River when that hits the clock. Oh, my goodness. This is just keeps getting better and better. This could be the greatest mock draft of all time.
So we take Marv at 4, and we come all the way down to 27. You got some big hog mollies up front. Marius Mims, Tyler Guyton. Who do you like out of this crew?
I mean, I like Guyton more as a prospect because I think Mims a little sloppy and he gets hurt a lot, and he got hurt at the combine, but he has a much higher ceiling. And Guyton didn't have the best. He didn't have the best combine. Most people think Guyton could fall to the 2nd now, which is good to hear for a team like the Cardinals. Yeah. Bears are interested in trading up from pick 75, which is just a laughing stock.
Yeah, it's too far.
I would do a mini trade back if possible. It doesn't sound like we're going to have that option, just because I would take Guyton a couple picks later. But if not, you got to take Mims here, I think.
I agree. I think Mims is the guy. I think he just has a slight edge just because based on his size. I know that he's less polished, but at the same time, Guyton really struggled during the workouts in Indy. And he's also a guy that's pretty raw, made a position change in college. I'll take the guy with size and err on the side of that. Give me Mims playing big boy football in the SEC. What was his numbers? His measurables were insane. Did they at least update the measurables?
He's like the biggest wingspan of all time.
Yeah.
Like it's insanity.
Here's what I'll say about him. Like, this is really encouraging. Typically with these big guys like Mekhi Bectons and a bunch of Bama tackles during like Saban's early years, they'd be stud run blockers, but they couldn't move their feet in pass protection. Mims, it's almost the opposite. Like he pass protected for Stetson Bennett, who is like, me with a couple of inches. Like he made him look great. I think Mims, I'm probably shortchanging him a little bit. The injuries do concern me, but I also think, gentlemen, you take Marvin at 4, who is as much of a sure thing as I can remember, just to consistently get you 1,000-yard seasons. I think Mims is a boom or bust prospect. He's either going to be a stud or you're just going to miss on him. And I know a lot of people say, well, you got to have the high floor. I think you've earned the right with this Houston pick where it is to roll the dice on a kid where it's like, if we hit on this guy, he's got a ceiling, I would say even beyond somebody like Paris. And I love Paris. Like to your point, Bo, his measurables are insane. They're off the charts. So I think it's the play.
11 and a quarter inch hands.
That's insane. Tyler Guyton, 10 and a quarter. He's also 6'8". He's 320. Mims is 340. I mean, their prospect scores are real close together. Their production's similar as far as playing at big Power 5 schools. I like Mims as a prospect better because of what you said. I think that you have the luxury of taking a big swing here, and if it works out, you've got a future just monster, just absolute monster that you're going to be able to put at left tackle for years to come.
And just Ohio State, Georgia, you got me sold on the 2 universities alone. A lot of talent falling to the Cardinals at pick 35 now, including the man that broke the sound barrier with his 40 time and Mr. Mitchell from Texas. Any temptation there, Bo?
Worthy was the guy. It was his teammate.
Was it? Okay, my bad.
Look, Adonai Mitchell also had an unbelievable 40 time, who I absolutely believe is could be, consolation prize for those who lose out on the Marvin Harrison sweepstakes and the Roma Dunze and Malik Neighbors sweepstakes. But yeah, Donnie Mitchell had a massive combine, but we're not in play with him at 35.
Yeah, and it looks like there's probably been a run on defensive linemen earlier in the first round. Jerzon Newton going 17 to the Jags. I also heard that the Lions love Jerzon Newton for what it's worth. So, like, this is a trouble spot here. The Cardinals opt to pass on Jerzon Newton. And I think Jerzon Newton said, like, I F with them and they F with me. And then, of course, Byron Murphy, I think very much this is where he should be drafted, top 12 to 15. So yeah, I mean, now you've got some choices here. Jordan Morgan is going to fall to the second round. He's not a first round player, and I think he's going to have to play guard at the next level.
Yeah, and I think at this point, what you've done is you've bolstered your offense. Like, what you've done is you've put Kyler Murray and crew in a position to take off like a rocket. Now you start to rebuild your defense. Like you just invested your 2 top picks in this draft. Now you got to use the remainder of your 4 top 100 picks on rebuilding this defense. And yeah, like you got Braden Fisk, who had an insane combine,
freak show.
He put on, he's putting up, stellar throughout all the workouts as far as speed, athleticism, mobility. Like Fisk, he was overshadowed, of course, by Jared Verse, but not in the workouts.
He's older.
He is older. And then you got Chris Jenkins, Tavondre Sweat, guys that you and I like. Dolores, who admitted that he talked to the Cardinals. And I think this is a Jenkins-Fisk play, or you look at those at the edge or cornerback position.
I think you try to do a trade. I think based on the players that we're mentioning, let's see if we can get somebody to come up. Like, okay, the Giants did not get a quarterback. They took Brock Bowers. So, like, hypothetically in this situation, and we're going to force a trade here because we're all about having fun. The New York Giants going down with the Giants, 35 to 39, like pick 70.
Or you could take 47.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to give up 35 in the process.
Yeah.
I'm forcing this trade. So basically, you're dropping down
12. Be able to sneak it through. I mean, I know they're not overwhelmed by it.
We're going to force it. You think this is fair value, guys? If they come up for not Bo Nix, but one of these Michael Penix or somebody, you think that's fair?
And Brian A., I'll say the Jenkins was smaller than you thought. I mean, he was walking by. It was either Sweat or Byron Murphy, and everybody looks small next to those guys.
Yeah. All right, I'm forcing this trade, and we're recouping an additional. We're going to have 4 third-rounders because that's how Monty Ossenford rolls. That's how we roll here on PHNX. We're going down to 47, and we're seeing who's available at defensive line. And how about that? Old reliable, our friend Darius Robinson still available. And then let's double-check here. Anything, Chris Jenkins, obviously still available. Lost out on Fisk. He went out a couple spots before.
Yeah, let's do Robinson. I think the versatile player plays with violence. He's had a tremendous pre-draft performance. Darius Robinson out of
really
Missouri.
Good games against Ohio State, Tennessee, Georgia. I mean, try to find a bad game on his schedule. You really can't for a team in Missouri that overachieved this year. I love this kid. He's a monster.
And think about the 3 players that we've drafted. And when the Cardinals pull up, and I know it's not high school anymore where you get off the bus, but you've got 6'4" Marvin, you've got 6'8" Mims, and you got the massive man that Darius Robinson is. I mean, it's pretty imposing.
I think I agree with you, and I think we're all going to be freaking out a little bit. At least I will on day 1 and day 2 if the Cardinals don't exit their first 3 picks, tackle, wide receiver, defensive lineman, edge, DT in some combination. Like you maybe talk yourself into a corner if you love a guy. If that's not the trio, the trifecta, the brain trust, I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think once you kind of see Monty cook, you'll see the logic behind it. And I don't think it's like a slam dunk that it goes that way. Just like we were sitting there like, well, they need an interior offensive lineman, and they just kept shying away from it round after round until they took Gaines in the 4th round.
Yeah.
But now you're starting to look at this draft board, and you've got, Cooper from A&M. I think you got a good, guard. We were standing there, and I heard a couple guys, staff members from an AFC team talking about their interview with Haynes. And It wasn't very complimentary. Like
say what they said.
I think it was like somewhere around like it was pulling teeth. It was tough. What did you say? What did I say they said? Because I heard them, like, and I said it verbatim.
These guys just said Christian Haynes' interview was bad.
Yeah, it was not good.
And he's a redshirt senior, so the ceiling is what it is. I feel like if he doesn't come in the NFL and is a good player right away, like that's a missed pick.
I don't have a problem maybe like Dolores here. I know we just went with a bit of a versatile defensive lineman. I think Dolores is too, but you continue to and Sweat too. He fits a different type of player. Like Robinson can play, edge and defensive end, where I think Dolores or Tavondre Sweat can be can play nose, can play big up front.
I just need a blood oath right now from the both of you that one of these 3 picks is going to be a wideout. Can we agree on that?
No, I won't make that oath with you.
I'm going to make it right now.
I will not go into that.
I'm controlling the draft. One of these 3 picks is going to be a wideout. You guys decide what you want it to be and the gamble you want to take. But I'm looking at Johnny Wilson, Xavier Leggett's available. I love Walker out of North Carolina.
Hey, Johnny, we got a guy named Marvin Harrison Jr., 4th overall. Have you ever heard of him?
Are Bermuda fish big? I don't know. Is Marvin Harrison a good prospect?
I know these players are good. They got needs everywhere, and you want to start
it's an elite receiver class. I'm taking 2 of them. I'm going to get another one, and no one can stop me.
We're going the distance here, bud.
All right, we're going to do Dolores there to make you happy. Now it's time to splurge. It's time to treat yourself here on the PFF Mock Draft Simulator.
No, it's not.
What? Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
No.
Who are you taking?
I like Murphy. I like Booker off the edge. I like Sweat even more. Like, I just don't think it's time to take a receiver here.
Jeremiah Trotter bench pressed 225 almost 30 times. That doing anything for you?
Look, in the 3rd round, it's way better than a 1st round pick.
I almost think there's some value. Blake Fisher looked pretty good during his workouts, but again, you can't take 2 tackles. You have too many tackles.
I think you're pretty well set there, and like you continue to rebuild this defense.
Are you worried about Sweat's ability to not gain weight in the NFL?
He's 366. You're just worried about him in the world not gaining weight. Like
he and Mims on Michael Bidwell's jet is a concern. He and Mims in that Tempe baby locker room. He might as well just start knocking down walls. I want to take another defensive lineman, but I know we just took one. So, all right, Austin Booker, edge rusher. We're assuming the Cardinals added an edge rusher in free agency. Good hell, we're taking a player out of Kansas. 9 sacks, really nice, productive season, albeit in a shit conference. Looked pretty good against Texas. Texas dominated the line of scrimmage, 82.3. He played his best against the best competition, Bo.
I don't know. I think I go Sweat.
Because we're going receiver 71. So, yeah, that's fine. I have no issue with that.
Sweat played in the same conference. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, you got extra sweaty, though. All right, we're going back-to-back defensive linemen. So here's what we've done. We've taken 3 defensive linemen with our picks. Do we have a problem with that?
No.
We got Dolores. Is that how you spell it? Dolores? I feel like I'm adding a vowel there, and it shouldn't be there. Dorless. Dorless.
Mm-hmm.
We've taken Robinson, Dorless, and now we're taking Tavondre Sweat. So we've added 3 defensive tackles with our 5 picks. That's certainly a choice.
Let's see what we got as far as cornerbacks now.
No, we're taking Xavier Leggett out of South Carolina.
What's his role going to be?
27. Slot murderer. That's what his role is going to be. Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside, and then Xavier Leggett is going to just absolutely destroy Fred Warner.
Can you at least look at the corners for me?
They're trash. No one's left. They've all been drafted. It's over. Not great.
I like Max Melton.
No, you don't.
I like Brownlee. I do, yeah.
Brownlee we can get later.
Okay.
This is
I
a
see a lot of
seventh
people like
rounder.
Max Melton.
Yeah.
Xavier Leggett's the pick. Sorry. This is what we're doing. We're
This is
double.
unbelievable.
If we're quadruple or triple dipping with defensive line, we're double dipping with receiver.
They have Marvin Harrison Jr. on their roster now.
Ever heard of a 53-man roster? Ever heard of a team?
Yeah.
You sound like a me guy. Go play tennis. This is football.
Christopher White. Robinson can play multiple positions. Thank you, Chris.
How about this right here?
Johnny sees all defensive linemen as the same position.
I don't. Shut up. I do not.
Now you're looking at running backs.
Hey, Corum.
When's our next pick? When's the next pick?
105.
All right.
Corum's the play, I think.
What Bucky Irving did not. He was not fast. Irving.
He looks slow in space. I think it's either Van Pran or Corum here. I think this is a pretty easy
rather go
decision.
with the center of the future than Blake Corum.
That's fine. This guy, you're going to take Mims's teammate. So you got Mims's teammate. I think that's the play. Damon, you have any issue with this?
Do I need to get like a Howie Roseman wig? Is that because I'm taking so many Georgia players? I could turn in my Monty bald head for
what did Austin or Gannon tell us? Premium players, guys put their hand in the dirt, and we're taking. This is our 5th premium player with a guy hand in the dirt. Mims, Van Pran, 3 defensive linemen. Let's party. I like it. Damon Dog, you're on the clock. Pick 105 is yours, my friend.
Can we go back to the corners? Can we look at the corners?
Stop bringing up the corners. No one wants to talk about the corners.
I know Smith Wade had a really good Senior Bowl. People really liked him, but he seems like a little bit more of a slot guy.
Okay.
Let's go back to everybody.
Right.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hey, way to go. Way to let all the corners get picked.
No one cares about them.
Max Melton.
The game is one up front. Look, we could have gotten Corum in a trade back. Damn it.
Johnny's going to want Tommy Eichenberg here, off-ball linebacker at Ohio
Yeah,
State.
let's do it. He went to Gannon's high school. I talked to him. That's the play, Damon. You know it is.
Let Damon make his pick.
Show me what we got right now. Drafted already. What are our picks?
Yeah, Tommy's PFF grade's horrifying. All right, where do I go to get our picks? Where do I look? Analysis?
Yeah, let's take a look.
No.
Look, it says we need a corner.
We
have Marvin Harrison Jr. We took Mims. We took
Darius Robinson.
Trade back and we accumulate an extra third.
Took Sweat.
Here's we dominated.
And Dorless.
Took Xavier Leggett.
What a third round, huh? Everybody give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah.
That's good work,
Even
boys.
with Johnny just going rogue.
All right, Johnny, start scrolling down on this overall players. Okay.
Trey Benson.
Oh, what about Cooper Beebe? Let's just fling it in right there. That's
like
crazy.
Another offensive lineman?
What do you mean?
We need a guard.
We're going 3 offensive line. Wow.
Oh, I hear you. If we just took
did we take Van Pran as well?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is a time to take a running back. The running backs that are here are good. I know Bucky didn't work out that well. Dude out of Notre Dame's elite.
Show me the running backs.
Trey Benson's good. Yeah, this is the time because it's about to get
your
Slim Pickens
pick
here.
a running back. Let's go with Braylon Allen.
Yes, this isn't going to grade well, but I love this so much. It'd just be such an Austin Ford move. They took a bunch of meat and potato offensive and defensive linemen, and yes, some receivers. And then you just wake up Saturday morning, you turn on PHNX Cardinals live stream, you turn on the draft. Braylon Allen, ass kicker, heir apparent to James Conner. Let's just celebrate this young man.
You know, Braylon Allen, he was a linebacker, and it was Wisconsin. It was a running back factory. It was like a lull. Adam Hogue was telling me the story. It was a lull as far as them having, successor after successor. So many great running backs like Melvin Gordon, from to another big time back, and they're like, oh, can somebody play running back? And they put Braylon Allen there, and he just kicked ass. So
how is he 20 years old and he's had legit. 3 years?
He's huge. He is huge. Seeing him talk to everybody at the combine.
Welcome to Phoenix, Braylon. Let's party. Pick 105 in the books. Now we get to uncharted territory here on the Empire Today, building your mock. We've never gone this deep in a mock draft.
Yeah.
And we've checked a lot of boxes.
The kid out of Louisville, what did he run? He was sub 4.3, wasn't he?
This running back?
Yeah.
How big is he?
He had the fastest time in the 40 at the position.
Look at 6. I
mean, we're not looking at running back any longer. We took our guy.
I mean, we might. Are you forcing a corner play here?
I would like to.
A DJ James. DJ James has been here for literally 2 hours. No one wants DJ James.
Yeah. All the guys I liked are gone.
Well, it's weird. It's almost like you get
Dana
corners
Robinson
year.
saying this is a chaos draft, snacks, rogue draft.
That's what we're here for. How about a tight end?
No.
He's really good. I do like him a lot. I think he's BPA right now.
Weapons.
You don't go BPA in this part of the draft? I mean,
I don't know. I was watching highlights today.
What kind of blocking prowess does he have?
He's supposed to be pretty good.
Higgins was so good last year with Trey McBride. I would hate to take snaps away from Higgy Bear.
I think they're going to add a vet tight end before the draft.
Yeah, we better take a corner. Bo's right. All right, Bo, pick a corner. I was right a
couple rounds ago.
That's your opinion.
Let's just pick clean, man. That's what you've done to us.
Typically, TCU corners do pretty well in the NFL. I have no idea how Josh Newton did this year, but Shedeur Sanders destroyed them week 1, so maybe that's not a good sign. Hang on. I'm going to throw a curveball. What do you think? Heir apparent to Buda Baker. What do you think? Anybody in here that you like?
No.
We got a bunch more. We got 4 picks left. I know. We need to be on the same page here. Receiver again?
Take the best corner available. Take DJ James.
SEC. Get on board with that. All right. 3 picks, 188, 222, 224 to the greatest draft in the history of drafts. Running backs, tight ends, centers, safeties. So if you're wondering what positions folks prioritize, it's not this. This kid can play. Did you see him run his 40? He looked pretty good.
I saw him go out to catch passes and not come down with one ball.
Sounds like a Cardinal. 6'5", though. 6'5".
He had some fantastic answers as far as whether or not he believed in birds and their existence, but as far as catching the football, a guy named Tip could not do it.
I think
we have a center, dude.
I get that, but I think this is a value play.
No, you would have Froholt and you would have Van Pran, and then you have Nugent. Like, no, get out of.
But then you got guys that can.
No, Johnny, no.
Don't yell at me.
Now I think you can start to look at off-ball linebackers, and you can continue to look at in the secondary. I think you're right in looking as far as you could even look at some skill positions.
I want a guy named Steele Chambers.
Steele was an incredible interview.
Steel cage match with Steele Chambers. He's a box player. That's fine. Don't put him in the slot, Vance Joseph. Don't put him at corner, Vance Joseph. All right. Any interest in Steel Chambers just for the content purposes? You want to go back to running back? You want to go back to wide out? How about a QB? Frank Gore Jr.
No. We're good. The running back room is complete.
All right. What do you want to add then? Another corner? We have a bunch of young corners. These guys aren't. I don't know if these guys are making the roster. I'm thinking about guys that can contend for roster spots at this point. Right. And you can never have too many interior offensive linemen. They're not cutting those guys. What about this kid? Jalen Green, Mississippi State. I saw him over the course of his career, but he was out this year. That's concerning. This is an ultimate flyer. Okay. How about this kid from Ole Miss? How did he do? I think this is the point where you take a safety. What kind of size does this kid have? He's 6 foot, 205. He's a senior. He's played a lot of football.
Mm-hmm.
He's got versatility. He got destroyed by Georgia. They burned the tape there, and he didn't look good against Penn State and at the end of the year. This is developmental safety. What do you think? SEC.
Pass.
You got to give alternative suggestions. The show's going to go on for 2.5 hours. Tell me who to draft, or I'm taking Steel Chambers.
What about Devonshire out of Pitt?
Where is he?
He's the corner right there.
Oh God, blowing his late round corners. I can't wait for all these guys to hit the waiver wire in August.
Don't say that.
Oh yeah, these numbers are really rocking my world.
All
Wake
right,
Forest
fine.
though.
All right, you make the pick. You don't care what we have to say anyway.
Let's go safety. Let's just take a kid, a Gannon piece of clay that he can mold. We got 2 picks left.
Okay.
Damon, you're on the clock again.
30
2:22.
All right.
We are
Start
so
scrolling.
gracious to give Damon all his hard work. We give him the 2 biggest throwaways.
I'm gonna cook right here. Keep scrolling. I need a lot of scrolling here until I find someone I like.
Here, Tanner. What about this guy?
He's good. He had a good combine.
Then he needs to be one of the picks. Hometown. This is when you take one of the hometown kids.
He had a 9 RAS.
That's
score.
why you're Kime, dude. I like him because he's played close proximity where we play our football.
He was athletic.
What about a kicker to replace Prater?
No, I don't.
Trevin Wallace. Did we draft a linebacker yet?
We haven't yet. What's this guy like?
I actually don't mind this guy. Those scores don't look great. That's okay.
How about no?
But
Beat up on Florida. What's the cut of his jib like?
I've heard some decent things about this guy. I've heard that I've seen some stuff where he's like more of like a 3rd to 4th round guy.
Okay.
Okay.
Good value there from Damon Dog. All right, last pick, Damon. Again, we've addressed all the needs. It's an elite draft. Now we're just putting the cherry on this cake, doing some sprinkles here. What are you thinking?
Keep scrolling.
Tua's brother or cousin or whatever?
Stop.
It's a little brother.
Bo keeps yelling at me. Proctor
was. I like him at the safety position more so than the guy.
I knew you were going to say that. You're such a jerk. I knew Bo was going to say that.
Why don't we take this guy?
I like this safety more than the one Johnny picked 3 rounds ago.
Those are pretty good scores.
That Johnny reached for back in the day.
I have no problem picking somebody that Marvin feels comfortable with. If this pick is for Marvin, I have no problem with that.
Hey, Marvin, who's your best friend from college, bro?
Yeah.
Josh
Proctor.
Proctor. Done. Proctologist. Let's go.
I love that we did our first 7-round mock draft, but I won't acknowledge this mock draft because of what Johnny did.
Why? This is great. You put this out there. People love it.
So many good players on the board to go.
My God. Are you kidding me?
For Xavier Legette.
Xavier Legette is going top 50. Book it. All right. This is such a big mock draft. We have to scroll down.
I don't mind Xavier Legette there. I really don't.
All right.
Thank you, Damon. If you have this many picks and you don't double dip at receiver in this class, that's a crime. You should be arrested on the spot.
All right. Read it off for our podcast listeners. What was our
listeners? Well, we got an A- overall. Of course we did. Marvin Harrison Jr., A+. Mims, the tackle out of Georgia, A. I did a trade down. The Giants received pick 35 in exchange for 47 and 70 to come up 12 spots. In exchange, we got Darius Robinson, A. Then Bo took Brandon Dorless, defensive lineman out of Georgia, B. And then we took Devondre Sweat right after at 70, B+. Xavier Legette, B+. I'd like to point out that my pick at 71 graded higher than Bo's at 66. Cedric Van Pran, tremendous value at pick 90, A-. I think we all knew this was coming. Braylon Allen, bringing the average down with a D. I saw Braylon out at the combine. He filled out his shirt, so I'm totally fine with him at 105. DJ James, apparently Bo's draft was made or broken by the fact that we need to take some 5th-round corners, so B+ there. Dejon Anthony.
There were so many better corners on the board when you were playing Kime ball.
I'm going to make a prediction right now. There are going to be 20.
You took some guy named Dejon Anthony.
Soup Dijon. How about some Dijon mustard? There are going to be 10 to 15 to 20 legitimate NFL corners that are going to be available after the combine. Go sign some people on that Monday. After you get your undrafted free agent signed, go and get some corners. Don't talk to me about corners over Xavier Legette. Nobody at the Combine, Senior Bowl, Super Bowl week from now until April is talking about this corner class. Sorry, it's a historic receiver class.
You had somebody, we asked Trevor Sycamore, like, who's somebody that's flying on the radar that's going to have himself a day at the Combine? He said Max Melton. Who was right there for the picking for us was Max Melton. He said, I'd rather take this guy. And what happens? Melton and everybody
Rutgers, bro. You're telling me to take a Rutgers corner over an SEC wide receiver ass kicker that just dominated the Combine that I think should have a top 50 grade. And you're talking to me about fucking Rutgers corners right now on this show. How dare you?
All right.
How dare you, sir? One of the most combative episodes in the history of this podcast for a reason. You tell us right now, drop a like. You tell us who is the better play, Melton or Xavier Legette in the third round. This was a war, Jack, but you know what? It needed to happen. It needed to be done.
I'm leaving the show.
You're not, because you have to talk about Phoenix Raceway.
I do have to talk about Phoenix Raceway. It's finally nearly upon us what's going on in the Valley of the Sun. How about the Shriners Children's 500? March 8th through 10th, just days away, folks. So you got to get your tickets right now, phoenixraceway.com. Promise to be a weekend of good vibes for the whole family. Get your reserved grandstand. Go see the best drivers in the world. Take on Avondale out there in the West Valley with NASCAR. Affordable ticket pricings for those families, whether you're a diehard racing fan or just simply looking for a fantastic day out. Whether you're a draft casual like Johnny or a diehard like myself, you can get out there, get your tickets right now, phoenixraceway.com.
Another plug, draft party. Get your tickets off right now, lower price than normal. Go and check us out. Gila River Resorts and Casinos. The draft is 50 days away. The clock starts now. Get your tickets before they sell out. We are going to be at max capacity, and we want to be there with all of you. Again, April 25th, 4 p.m. Links in the description. We're going to put it in the chat. Sign up right now. Let's party. Let's have a great time with our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Joel, $4.99 super chat, friend of the program. Joel, Johnny's going to be pissed when the D-line can't get sacks because the corners can't cover anybody.
He's going to look back at the offseason. We're going to go into training camp, and he's going to be like, I don't think Monty did enough for the defensive secondary. It's like,
never say that.
I really like seeing Xavier Legette make catches in the passing game, even though they have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride.
I thought the corners were fine last year. I thought they were dealt a bad rap. The defensive line was historically bad. The corners weren't good, but the corners aren't going to be the reason why your sack production comes up. I know you can cover a guy for so long, but let's get some pressure. Let's do. Name me a couple corners on the Niners. They had like one good corner. Corner's overrated. You know how I feel about corner. I think it's overrated. And this is not a great corner class.
Premium position. So
awesome. Go sign one because free agency starts in 1 week's time, and we're going to cover it top to bottom here on the PHNX Cardinals podcast. Drop a like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a nice little tidy 5-star review. Drop a comment in the comments down below. It helps the YouTube algorithm. Tell us, would you rather have Xavier Legette or Bo's boy Melton, who I'm Melton for from Rutgers? Can't wait to turn on that Rutgers tape, start grinding some secondary players from a nameless 9 a.m. kickoff in the Big Ten. We appreciate all of you in all seriousness. Loaded content, loaded week of shows. Justin Fields trade, again, feels imminent. We got already some transactions moving. How close are the Arizona Cardinals to reshaping their roster, Bo? You don't want to tune in anywhere else than this podcast.
No doubt. We probably will get some news as far as the Cardinals roster before free agency, as they can clear up some more cap space, make some tough decisions between now and then. As you see some players hit free agency that were otherwise on rosters before this week, some big releases, including like a Darius Williams, who I think, talk about the outside corner position, 4 picks for Jacksonville last year. He's led the NFL in pass breakups over the last 2 seasons with 35. Would be a good addition. It would help ease potentially not taking a corner in the spot that we chose to take Xavier Legette. So much to find out between now and when tampering period opens up. But, of course, you're going to find all of it right here, PHNX Cardinals. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll be back with a fresh new Wednesday edition of the show. For Damon Dog, Johnny Venerables, a.k.a. Monty Ossenfort, I'm Bo Brack. We'll talk to you guys later.
We all silly like the mayor.